An interesting thing happened to me today as I was just driving in my car, sitting with myself, doing a scan of how I felt in my body, how I felt in my mind, my spirit. This is something I often do as a way to check in with myself. And what I've been noticing, especially this past week, is that there has been this level of anxiety, right, deep within my chest, this anxiety that I just can't quite explain or understand. And I pride myself on somebody who can really go into myself and really practice the self-awareness of knowing what I feel and why I feel it, right? That's just one of my talents or abilities when it comes to the realm of spirituality, using my mind to really explore and go deep within myself to understand the truth about what's going on for me at the moment. But for some reason, this past week, I couldn't quite figure out why I was feeling this low grade anxiety, like in my chest, like right in my stomach area, right in my like diaphragm. And, once in a while I'll do some breathing techniques, but it will relieve it, but it still wouldn't completely get rid of it, so to speak. What dawned on me is that I have completed writing, editing, and designing and going through the process of publishing my first official Peter Abundant book. And what I had to ask myself was, is that what it's about? Am I feeling anxious about this book? Because this is the beginning of something great for me. This is the beginning of something significant for me. And what it is that I want to accomplish and achieve when individuals decide to buy and read my book. Now, most of that is out of my hands, right? All I can do is write the book and put it out there and hope that people receive it well, But I realized that there was a level of caring about this book. And when I had to go deep within understanding the significance of what does it mean, right, to care about this book, it dawned on me and I realized caring is attachment. Caring is attachment to protecting this thing, this entity, this project, this book and what it represents, right? Now, what I had to understand is when we care for something, whether we want to accept it or not, but I want you to really think about it. When you care for something, you want to protect it. You want to make sure that it gets what it needs. You want to make sure that nothing harms it, right? You want to caress it. And you want to, in a sense, baby the thing that you care about. And it can be an individual, it can be a project, it can be a car, it can be a house, it can be your phone. It can be an article of clothing, your purse, a pair of sneakers, an animal. It can be various things. And this isn't to say that you're wrong to care. But what I'm saying and will say is that the caring in itself creates a level of anxiety because you are attached to what can happen to that thing. And especially the changes that are to come with that thing, for that thing, because we all know change is inevitable. Change is something that is always there. It will always happen. Is in fact, the only thing that is forever is change. But when I think about the contrast of, okay, if it's not caring that I want to experience, if it's caring that's causing this anxiety, what will free me from the anxiety? What will free me to actually want to create something that can support other people in their journey, but allow me to set it free, right? And let it go and accept what direction it takes. Because everything that we create takes on somewhat of a life of its own. And we have to allow, just like all of our children, right? We are creators, you are creating. So whatever you create is essentially a child of yours. And with just like living human children, at some point you have to let them go and take on a life of their own, take on their own identity, their own path. And the same thing goes for everything else that you wish to create or manifest, or any project that you actually make. And so I had to get into those words: acceptance, freedom. And what happened is I understood that the opposite of caring, the letting go of attachment, really is personified by love. When we love something, and I mean truly love something, and these are two words that you really have to get into for yourself, dissect, and really break down what they mean. Caring for something and how it associates with attachment versus loving something. You see, because when you love something and it's true love, often we hear words like unconditional love. That essentially means no matter what, we love it. No matter what happens, we love them. And so as I start to really unwrap this concept in my mind, I'm thinking it is not caring for this project, this book, this thing that I'm doing. It is actually going to be in loving it that's going to free me from this anxiety that I'm feeling. So I had to go through the process of not so much caring about this project, this book, but loving the process of whatever this book creates or does. And so love is essentially acceptance, accepting what it is, accepting what happens, which essentially is what is, right? Because there is no happening or happened or what will happen. There is always the present moment, what is. And so with love, you are accepting what is. And when you are accepting, there is no attachment, because the accepting means that anything could happen. And it doesn't matter what happens. You are there for it. You love it anyway. You accept as it is, and you enjoy whatever transformation it takes, whatever path it takes. And so as I go through this process, even right now, I'm still going through this process of really not only understanding this concept in my mind, but transferring it conceptually from my mind into my heart. And so through things like meditation, mindfulness, contemplation, continuously running that loop or the concept of my mind of realizing that I don't want to be attached. I don't want to care for it. I don't want to care. I want to love. And with loving something, I'm not out to protect it, to shield it, to, baby it. I'm there to create it and let it take on a life of its own and love it no matter what happens. I bring this up to you to understand that many of the things we feel anxious about, many of the things we feel frustration or worried about is because we are caring. And it's important to let go of caring about it rather than focus on loving it. Focus on accepting what it is, how it is, and whatever happens. That frees you up from any anxiety and allows you to be you, to be in enjoyment of whatever happens as it's happening, rather than enjoying it, caring for it, fearing that it will change, fearing that it will go away, fearing that it will not evolve or blossom or grow, fearing that it won't fit your expectation in your mind as to what you want it to be. But realizing that there is somewhat of a mental imagining or visualization of what you want to create, but understand that that's going to happen at its own time, because now that you've created it, it's going to take on a life of its own. It has its own responsibility, energy, and time. And therefore, you have to practice love, acceptance to free yourself of this idea of things are supposed to happen a certain way. So I invite you, dissect those two words, caring and how it relates to attachment, and love and how it relates to acceptance and freedom. Thank you so much for listening. Continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.